Do you know the real reason why JFK was assassinated?
I'd love to hear.
Some people think it was the mafia and all sorts of political and economic, the unions and all that. No. The CIA assassinated John F. Kennedy. And do you know why? It's because he refused to kill billions of birds and replace them with drones.
He refused to replace them with drones.
He refused.
The CIA wanted them to be replaced by drones.
Took him out and
then did?
The birds aren't real, a.k.a. the Turkey X500 plan. Have you maybe seen it bubbling up on the internet recently? But birds are not real. Birds are nothing more than government drones used to spy on the entire world. Because you know why? Because it's a great fucking plan. It's a great fucking plan. Could you imagine if every time you saw a bird, they were just collecting information? Everyone's talking about, information is power. Well, what has more information than a bird? They're sitting there in the park listening to your every word. They're sitting on your windowsill watching your every movement. They're constantly above you in the sky. There's flocks of them everywhere. If you ever really wanted to surveil an entire people, you do it with birds.
And like a hummingbird, there's no reason in nature to make this floating bird that can
stay perfectly still.
Like that's camera stabilization.
Absolutely.
That's what that is.
They want good footage, man. They want these things to be able to soar and reach and then stop and record. Birds are not real. And it's a conversation most people are not ready to have because they see their hummingbirds, they see their songbirds and their tweety tweet. They think it's, you see a bald eagle. They think it's so majestic. America. Yeah, you're goddamn right it's America. It's the deep state. It's the deep state of America who's spying on you. The birds, they're not real. And I ask you, and people say, like, what's the evidence? Like, you look around New York City, you see how many pigeons. You see these disgusting, oily, multicolored spawns of Satan, these winged rats. And then you think to yourself, have you ever seen a baby pigeon? Have you ever seen a pigeon come of age? They're never small. You never watch a pigeon grow.
They're all the same size. Yeah.
Grow. You never see a pigeon that's like, oh, that's not a full-size, full-grown pigeon yet. That's a baby pigeon. Because when the government makes these drones, they just make one size.
You never see a baby drone either.
Never, just one size fits all for the drones and the pigeons so that they can spy on the entirety of society. The birds aren't real movement. 50,000 followers on Instagram. YouTube has tens of thousands of subscribers. Twitter.
What are they posting on the Instagram? Just birds?
Let me see.
And how they look like robots or something like that?
I'll show you. Man, that was an old article. The Birds Aren't Real Instagram account is up to 281,000 followers. Birds, now, they used to be. That's what you have to understand. It's that the U.S. government replaced them with identical drone replicas.
All birds, though.
Not that they never existed.
But like every single bird, like if I see National Geographic YouTube and there's a hawk diving in and scooping up a salmon, that guy is doing that to spy on us?
12 billion birds. 12 billion birds have been replaced. Now, I can see,
how did they replace all of them?
It sounded like they wanted Kennedy to, massacre the entire bird population and just replace it with a fleet of drones. I think what would be smarter is to slowly assimilate, to slowly roll them out. So when you see that hawk on National Geographic, that might still be a real bird for the time being until the government gets that.
Got it.
And I think also there's just a natural, we probably are waiting for them to die out and stopping them from reproducing. Like, I'm sure they find a mama pigeon, a mama bird, they fucking kill that thing. It's like they do in China when they don't want babies. They leave them on the side of mountains. They just don't want, it's population control for the birds. So I could see a scenario where there are some real birds floating around. That majestic bald eagle you see, that's a real one. That army of pigeons who happen to just be hovering around Wall Street conveniently all the time, they're not real because they're nothing more than a mechanism to spy on the people.
And we're just leaving them to be like disgusting because like that's more convincing. Like they're like digging in trash and they're shitting everywhere like that. You know, they really.
Brendan, let me ask you something. When you see like a puppy in public, what do? You're like, oh, come here, come pet me. Now, if that puppy was a robot and you went over to it, you'd be like, this fucking thing isn't real. Are you ever going near a dirty pigeon? No. How about this, Brendan? How about, what did they tell us when we were kids in school? That if you like touched a bird feather, that you were going to like catch a disease and die. Remember that? That bird feathers had the most disease in the world. And they also told you that if you touched a bird nest or a bird egg, that like the babies would die and the mother would abandon it. They had an entire movement in the education system.
Propaganda.
To keep the children away from birds. They needed to keep these birds so isolated so that people wouldn't find out they were drones. They told them they were disgusting. They made them look ugly. They do the head thing and they have the weird oily skin and feathers and they're just.
Imagine.
You know what are real? Turkey. Turkeys are real. And I think they're the last standing. And that's why we eat them every Thanksgiving. We're trying to slaughter them, and they're like, we got to get rid of these things, so let's eat them every Thanksgiving.
Imagine if a kid just like runs into a flock of pigeons and manages to grab one, and it like just turns its laser beams on and just fries the kid.
We got to kill this thing.
All right, well, the android birds nuked like another child.
Homelander with the laser eyes, he's dead. Birds, not real. JFK paid the price. So the question is, what does Joe Biden do? I feel like the first thing that you do when you get sworn in, like, yeah, we'll get to Area 51 in a minute. But first off, do you swear and promise to uphold the birds aren't real movement?
I'll tell you.
Now in the inner circle, here's the red pill. Birds are not real, and you've got to continue to slaughter them and replace them with mechanical flying instruments.
Well, I can't wait for Trump to just start tweeting about that because he's not respecting that swear in. He's just going to be like, oh, yeah? Well, guess what? I'm blowing the lid off this thing.
Maybe he was already dropping hints during the debate when he said we can't have wind power because those windmills will kill the birds. Maybe that was just a wink to QAnon, like we're going to be talking about the birds soon. Hitchcock. What do you think the Hitchcock's movie was about? The birds? You think that movie was just about birds? I don't fucking think so. He was dropping hints. These things aren't real. Just so you know. I just want the people to be educated out there, you know? Next time someone's talking about bird watching, all you're doing is watching the toys of the government.
A New York City pigeon flew directly at me one time, and I literally had to dodge it, and its wing hit my neck.
Ooh.
And it was disgusting, and I don't know. Either it's maybe I feel better because maybe it was just a robot, and robots are not as disgusting. Yeah,
it was not disgusting. That was a piece of machinery that buzzed your neck, and you know, no diseases there.
I mean, those machines are still in the gutter. Like, they don't necessarily have to be clean machines.
Well, you know, it's almost like having a fleet of buses. You got to clean them. You send them back to the yard. They get all spruced up. They're probably rolling out new.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're like stainless steel and they're just painted to look disgusting. And then they are completely clean. And that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, this happened like 15 years ago, but I still am traumatized by it.
Oh, absolutely. That one would haunt me for the rest of my life. But now knowing that it's just a little airplane, basically, ain't got nothing to worry about. So just next time you're at the cocktail party, next time someone's talking about nature, look at the birds, listen to the birds, you tell them that's the government. That's the CIA and the NSA trying to hold down this country, trying to implement their ways. So, Joe Biden's here, socialism's here, and they're going to use the fleet of birds to implement their controlling ways. Hope you're happy, America. Hope you're happy, you liberal bleeding heart pussies. That's it for us. We'll catch you guys next week.